Today we talk about what to do. Hey, so question. Hindsight's 2020. What would I do differently in medical school? How to succeed in medical school? What would I focus on during MS1 and MS2, medical student one or medical school one, medical school year two? Those are kind of the prime years of medical school. So there's a kind of different way I wanted to address this. But to answer your question specifically, the keys to success is to give a shit. I did not give a fuck when I was going through, and I just talked about this in the most recent video I just recorded, or put up. But yeah, you have to have good perspective going into medical school. You have to understand, why are you there? Do you understand how important this shit is? Do you understand how special of an opportunity you have to like learn the fucking human body? You know how big of a fucking deal that shit is? It's fucking special, my guy. I'm just like so blown away just talking to regular folk and how like little they understand about their own bodies or like their own health and whatnot. And I have not only an understanding of it, but a very detailed academic understanding of it because it was fucking pounded into my shit for 4 years. And I was like, so, you know, you have to have the right perspective first and foremost. Secondly, I would definitely study for the boards and not for the test, if that makes sense. As in like your routine test that you get in medical school. It's just such a farce, my guy. And this is not just at my medical school, but multiple medical schools where they don't teach to the boards. And some places do this. So if you can go to such medical schools, I would highly recommend you go to those kinds of medical schools. Because at the end of the day, it's your board scores that are really throwing you on one threshold over the other for different specialties that you want to pursue in the future. So, you know, while yes, you do want to do well in class and on your, you know, term by term exams, they pale in comparison to doing well on the steps. So you want to start studying for the steps early. That's another thing I wish I did. I procrastinated, and I got fucked. But not really, because I'm winning right now, bitch. But yeah, I could have had an easier track or a quote better track if I had done those things differently. So you got to give a shit. You got to really focus on your boards. So studying for the boards is important because not a lot of places cater the curriculum to the boards, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It's like if nationally it's being stated that we want you to have a core understanding of XYZ, why the fuck are we learning XYZ plus ABC? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're getting taught by these research professors who, whether they have a giving a shit attitude about clinical-ish or not, some do, some don't, and some are great teachers and some aren't, but in my experience, it's just not the best method to be teaching doctors. It's just my personal opinion. But then the flip side of it is, how many doctors do you know that are like going to take time away from their lucrative, if not modestly lucrative, you know, paying positions doing clinical work to come back and teach for, you know, definitely nowhere near as much financial, what's the word? Incentive. So, you know, incentives are always going to be an issue. Obviously, I think that's going to be the main one, is financial. But, you know, then you still get your good and bad faculty attending physicians teaching you in your third and fourth year medical school. So you're going to get some good, you're going to get some bad. So it is what it is. So the other thing I wish I recognized going into medical school, which I would highly recommend you keep note of, is you got to understand this is essentially an independent study for the next 4 years. Like, a lot of what you're going to be learning is not going to be spoon-fed to you the way it was in high school and college. It's going to be having to come from you. And that kind of relates to what I was just talking about with studying for the boards. Because if these places aren't going to teach you to the boards and they expect you to teach to their shitty old curriculum, no offense to anyone in particular, I'm just saying, like, this is just how I view it, having gone through what I went through and realizing, like, why the fuck didn't we just study for the boards this whole time? You know what I'm saying? So you yourself have to keep that in perspective and do that, because a lot of this is self-taught. No one's going to be teaching you. And especially nowadays with how YouTube is, I learned probably more medicine off of YouTube than in any fucking classroom over 4 years. I swear to God. I mean, and especially nowadays, and that was back in 2000. I went to medical school from 2008 to 2012. YouTube is a whole different beast nowadays. They got motherfuckers like me. But no, seriously, like, you have much better, more refined resources on YouTube now for medical education than ever before. So definitely take advantage of those, I would say. Because a lot of times they'll be more effective at teaching you certain topics than any professor at any medical school. Just, it is what it is. So definitely take advantage of that. I mean, I remember learning the nephron way better from some YouTube motherfucker than any professor I ever had. And I had a really, really great renal teacher. He was a great clinician, RIP. Passed away, was a great mentor to me. Miss him a lot, actually. He even wrote one of my recommendation letters, and he was very instrumental, I think, in recognizing my talents and really speaking highly of me to the GI department, because it is the most competitive medical specialty from what I hear. So, it's no joke. And my program classically didn't take internal candidates, but they took me because very likely a lot from what he had to say about me. So, but I digress. My point is, a lot of those complicated topics, YouTube was very instrumental in teaching me some of them, even when some people tried their best. So, it what it. What else would I recommend? If you can go to a medical school that prioritizes anatomy to the beginning, I had heard some of these places do anatomy almost like a summer course beforehand as an elective. If you'd like to come earlier and do it, highly recommend you do that. Highly recommend it, because the way our school did it was a theme-based first year. So your first year of medical school, you had cardiology, embryology, GI, pulmonary, whatever. And as you went through each system, you also got to that part of the body on your anatomy lab cadaver. The problem is, if you extend it out over the course of the entire year, towards the end of the year, I mean, I was already unmotivated as it was, wasn't really doing well in anatomy as it is. And throw on the fact that you're just so tired of going back to this smelly ass anatomy lab, and the bodies are decaying with each day. Yes, the formaldehyde is helping, but those bodies, just the odors from them started to really mess with me over time. And no disrespect to the cadavers and the families and the former patients who donated their bodies to science. They're very instrumental in our education, but I much rather would have preferred if they prioritized, like I think Syracuse does it, where they offer this elective right before medical school during the summer, where you come in, you do all the anatomy that you're going to ever do right in the beginning in a concentrated, focused way right up front. I would much prefer that method to spreading it out over the year with each theme. But because I was just tired of going to the anatomy lab. I wish I just got it over with, and it just wasn't my favorite experience. It is what it is. And yeah, just the decay of the cadavers over time, and especially as you cut into them more and more and remove more and more pieces, it was not my favorite experience. Again, no disrespect, but yeah. What else? Yeah, just fucking study, man. Like, don't procrastinate, because that was my biggest issue. And yeah, just again, my biggest thing was I wish I understood earlier that, hey, this is not going to be a spoon-fed thing. You're gonna have to go get it, because no one's gonna like give it to you. Yeah, so let's leave it there. If you have additional questions along these lines, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. We out. Peace.